Hello everyone, welcome back to my hallway and my board from last time. I had so much fun doing the challenge of letting BTS choose my TBR that I decided to keep going with it because I have a lot of books on here. What I did do is I replaced the ones that I had finished from last time. So I actually ended up putting on the second one of the series of that was the Dry, that's the Aaron Falk series. I put the second Elizabeth Peters one on there. I put the next Shirley Rousseau Murphy one, and this is going to be the second one in the Last Kingdom series. The Pale Horseman is what that one's called. For some reason I didn't have that one. So if I happen to hit that one, that's what I'll read. And then I did replace a couple of them because one of them I'm reading right now anyway. And the other one I realized doesn't come out until July. So I can't order it in if I hit it anyway. So I replaced it with a different book that I want to read. So yeah, this is the only one that if this one does come up, this will be The Pale Horseman by Bernard Cornwell. I will have to print that one out because I forgot to. So I have my iPad here again. And I'm going to bring up my Spotify. And we're going to do the same thing we did last time, where I have the different eras of music, and I have my 7 BTS guys, and I'll play a solo playlist that has a bunch of their solo songs. I put 7 from each guy on there, shuffle it, see who comes up, and then I have 7 songs from each of the eras. I'll shuffle that and see what comes up. So I've got their School Trilogy era, Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Love Yourself, Map of the Soul, and Proof, and B. So the only thing I should mention is I did screw up last time. I had gotten Boy With Love and I had gotten Yoongi. And Boy With Love, I went and said it was Love Yourself era. That it is actually Map of the Soul era because it's from Map of the Soul Persona. And for some reason, I think it's because when I became a fan back in 2021, for some reason, Map of the Soul Persona, I always think of that as Love Yourself era. I think it's because it has the heart on the album, and it's like the pink album with the heart on it. And I think for some reason, even though it's Map of the Soul Persona, for some reason that album always sticks in my head as being Love Yourself. And I think it's because of the heart. And then especially Boy With Love, because it's a song, a very loving song. So I should have read The Miracles of the Namaya General Store by Kigo Higashino. But I ended up reading The Dry by Jane Harper instead. So we'll just leave it the way it is. And we will see when we get that other one again. So I'm going to start by going to my library, and I'm going to pick my playlist of solo songs. Okay, so I'm still on shuffle. So let's see what we get. Now let's make sure the volume's up on this. Yeah, it is. Okay, let's see what we get. This is Promise by Jimin, which is such a beautiful little song. I love this song so much. It's such a beautiful little song. So that is our Park Jimin. So it's going to be something along this line. So we'll see what we get now. So we're going to go to the Eras playlist. Oops, library. Eras. Okay, so here's my Eras playlist. So let's see which one we get. This one is Dionysus, which is from Map of the Soul 7. I love this song. Such an awesome song. Okay, so that's from Map of the Soul. So if I go Map of the Soul and I go Jimin, I get A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. That is the first book in the Veronica Speedwell series, and I've been really looking forward to starting that series. So I am going to have to order that one in from the library. So I will get it on order, and when it gets in, I will read it and I will let you know my thoughts. All right, this is A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn, and I just finished it today. This book was really good. I really enjoyed it. So it's set in Victorian London, and the main character is Veronica Speedwell. And she's a young woman who has grown up under the care of her two aunts, and to her knowledge, she's a foundling and has no idea who her parents are. She knows that these two aunts aren't actually her blood relatives, but they've raised her. And she's had a very unique childhood in that they moved from village to village very often. Her aunts let her basically educate herself and become what she wanted to be, which is unusual in the Victorian age. And so Veronica found that she loves butterflies, so she became a lepidopterist. So she goes on expeditions to capture rare butterflies and sells them to make money, and she loves adventure. She's a very unique character. The story begins when her last aunt dies, and so she is now free of all encumbrances, and so she wants to go out and go on expeditions all over the world. She's leaving home, going to go on all these expeditions. But when she gets back from the funeral, she finds that her cottage there's an intruder in her cottage, and it's being ransacked. Somebody's looking for something. She interrupts the intruder and is almost abducted, but's rescued by a baron who shows up randomly. And she decides to go with the baron to London because it gives her a free trip to London. At which point he tells her that her life is in danger. He tells her that he knows her mother, but he can't tell her anything. Her life is in danger. And he takes her to his friend, whose name is Stoker, who's a taxidermist, and tells him that he has to look after her and it's a matter of life or death. And from there, the story takes off when the Baron, right at the beginning, the Baron ends up getting murdered. So Veronica and Stoker are basically thrown together and have to try and figure out what's going on. And whether it has anything to do with her and who she is, or if it's something to do with the Baron. And it was just a very, very entertaining story. I really enjoyed it. It gave me the vibe of the Amelia Peabody books that were set in Victorian England as well, from the 90s and 2000s. The Amelia Peabody ones were some of my favorites when I was younger, and this gave me that vibe of Amelia and Emerson, but a little bit younger and less self-confident. And I just really loved the characters. They were so good, and I cannot wait to read more in this series. I think this is probably going to become a new favorite series of mine. So that is my thoughts on A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. I did give this one 5 stars. So that's another 5-star for me, and I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to read more. So I'm going to block that one off on my board here. So I have my little BTS logo, and I'm going to cover that one up, which is right here. Now you may notice that the board has changed a little bit. I don't know if you'll notice because it's a little bit far away, but there are a few books that I actually read for other things. I read a couple of them for Summerween. I'll link the vlog in the corner there that I did on that. And just a couple of other ones that either weren't out yet or I'm reading for something else now. Or I just read because I couldn't wait. So when that happens, I've been just replacing them with another book that I'd like to read. And then in between each vlog, I'll also replace the ones that I read for that vlog. So it is time now to pick my next book. So I will get my iPad and we'll put on the playlists. So we are going to try this quickly because I'm down to 4% battery. I forgot to charge it. So I will go in here and I'm going to, first of all, this time I'm going to actually select that I want it to actually play on my iPad. Okay, so I am going to go to my library and find my playlist. Here we go. Okay, so let's pick our era first. So I've got my eras playlist here, and it's on shuffle still. So are we ready? Oh, I should make sure my volume's up. Yeah. Okay, ready? 어서 와. 방탄은 처음이지? So we got Dope, and that is from The Most Beautiful Moment in Life. So it is going to be something along this row. So let's see what we end up with. So I'm going to go back to my library, and we're going to pick the solo songs. Okay, so we're still on shuffle. Ready? Oh, we got my favorite song. This is actually genuinely one of my all-time favorite songs. Okay, so that's my Jungkookie. So we are on Most Beautiful Moment and Jungkook. So I am going to be reading Malice by Kigo Higashino. That is a Japanese translation, and it is a thriller. So I'm excited about that. I've been wanting to read this one for a long time. I will order that one in at the library, and we will read that one next. Hello everyone! Time for an update. I finished this book. This is Malice by Kigo Higashino. So this was my pick for, let's see, Raven, you stay out of here and leave Simon alone. That was my pick for, let's see, oh, here it is. That was Jungkook and The Most Beautiful Moment in Life era. So I'm going to go ahead and put, I have my little logo here. I'll put that over top of that one. There. So we've done 2 so far this vlog. So this book, I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like a 4 or 5 star read for me. But I do want to read more from this author because I did really enjoy the general story. So the plot in this one, it begins, you're getting a account of a murder that happened from a guy named Osamu Nanaguchi. And he's writing what happened that day. And he is a writer. He writes children's books, and he goes over to the home of his friend, whose name is Kunihiko Hidaka, and he is a best-selling author of a lot of books. He's an award-winning author, and Nanaguchi is a friend of his. So he goes over to visit him. He's basically telling the whole story of the day. So he goes over to visit him that day, sees his wife, and sees this other lady show up to talk to him about an issue with one of his books. And then he leaves. He goes home, and he's sitting there talking to his editor about something at his home, and he gets a phone call from Hidaka telling him that he needs to talk to him. It's something really important. So he says, okay, well, I can meet up with you in an hour or so. And so he tells his editor that he's got a meeting set up in this hour, and off he goes. And when he gets there, there's no lights on in the house because the Hidaka family was moving. They're leaving like the next day. So there's not much going on, but Hidaka was still trying to finish a part of a serial novel that he was writing before he went over to the hotel to stay with his wife because all their stuff is packed up. So anyways, Nanaguchi gets to the house and it's all dark, so he calls the hotel and his friend's not there. So the friend's wife comes to see what's going on. They go into the house and they find that, in spite of the fact that the front door and the office door were locked, Hidaka is dead. And so then the police are called. And you're following 2 storylines, really, or 2 points of view. You're following sections written by Nanaguchi telling you what happened, And then you're also following sections written by the detective Kiyochiro Kaga. So Detective Kaga. And you're trying to figure out who you can trust and who you can't. There is unreliable narration going on. There's it's a real cat and mouse game as to why things happened. You learn fairly on in the story who did the murder, but you don't know why. There's a lot of questions about the why, and it has to do with things, that happened in the past, and there's lots of secrets that are revealed, and it definitely kept me reading. It wasn't one of those books that's like very character driven. It was a lot more plot driven. So in that way, it reminded me a lot of like Agatha Christie, where you're following the detective figuring things out, like especially her Poirot ones, where you're following the detective figuring things out, but you're not really getting a lot of character development, and you don't really feel one way or another about the person who was murdered or about the people who were involved, because they're all just characters in this central plot of solving this mystery. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't give it quite as high a rating, is just because I tend to prefer more character driven stories in my mysteries, where you really, get a real feel for the characters. But it was definitely really good. It kept me guessing. I didn't figure all of it out. I figured parts of it out, but not all of it by the end. And he has more books that have been translated in this series, and he has another series as well that's been translated to English, so I definitely want to read more. So yeah, that one got 3.5 stars. So now it is time to pick my next book, because we're going to try and do 4 again for this vlog. These ones take a little bit longer because I have to rely on the library for a lot of the books that I want to read, because I don't own them. So it does take a while because I have to get them from the library and everything, but that's okay. I'm making lots of use of my public library. So let's find my Spotify. Yes, so now I'm onto my BTS Eras playlist here, and I'm going to hit play. I need you. So we have I Need You, which is a classic, and I Need You is from The Most Beautiful Moment in Life. So we're on this line again here. So we've got a few interesting ones there, a couple that I own and a couple that I don't. So now we're going to go to solo songs. Here's my solo songs playlist, and let's see what we get. Ooh, we've got Hectic by RM. Okay, so that's our Kim Namjoon and Most Beautiful Moment in Life. So we've got Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. So that is one that I've been wanting to read ever since I first saw it on Goodreads, and I'm excited to check it out. I will have to order that one from the library, so I will get it on order, and I will read that one and let y'all know what I think. We're on the way to the city to go and watch JK's documentary. Woohoo! I'm so excited!
And look at the jacket she's wearing.
Yes, I
can't believe she's wearing it out of the house.
I'm wearing my very, very, very special army hoodie designed by JK. Yes. I'm very excited, in case you couldn't tell.
You should see how she eats her cheese strings and
yes.
drinks her pop.
Yes, I was eating and drinking very, 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 very carefully. All right. We've stopped for corn dogs for lunch. So I've got my beautiful corn dogs here. I will show you. This one's the all beef one with the ramen chips, and this one is the half and half with potatoes. Delicious. Delicious. Should I do like JK? Yeah. The close-up shot. And then
열심히 해야지. 좋았어. 좋았다. 가자. 흐아!
hello everyone. I have finished another book. I finished Starling House by Alex E. Harrow, which, as you know, I have been reading. So I'm going to put my little logo over it there. So that's 3 books I've done so far. So I will tell you about this one. So Starling House is by Alex E. Harrow. This one came out last year, and I've been wanting to read it ever since I first saw it on Goodreads. And I finally got a chance to. So this book follows a young girl named Opal, and she has grown up in this town of Eden, Kentucky. She and her mother and her younger brother have lived in this hotel in room 12 in the Eden Motel for years. She doesn't know anything about her past really before, you know, the hotel and all of that, other than some moving around from place to place. Her mother was kind of a wild child. Her father is a different guy than her brother Jasper's father. Her mother steals and is into all kinds of crazy things. But when she's younger, she ends up, her mother gets in a car accident and drowns in the river, and she's in the car with her, but escapes. And so she blames herself for letting go and escaping. But she takes over care of her brother through a lot of lies and deceit to try and make sure that the government doesn't take him. And her biggest goal in life is that she wants her brother to get out of Eden, Kentucky, which is your classic coal town. It's there's a big power plant and a mine. There's dust in the air everywhere. Her brother has asthma, so he has trouble breathing. It's not a good place to live. There's all kinds of disasters that are constantly happening around this town too. And it seems like there's essentially a curse on the town. But the one thing about Opal is that at night she dreams about this house, which is Starling House. And it is this old Victorian style mansion that is in the town, and nobody goes there. It hasn't had electricity. It hasn't had, you know, any updates or anything. There have been a succession of people who carry the Starling name who have been living there, but they don't interact with anyone. In particular, the newest Starling, who's been there for about, I think it's like 8 or 9 years. And he's a young man. She's in her 20s, and he's also in his 20s. But she's really, really drawn to this house. And she can't say why. It's just in her dreams all the time. And she ends up the one day, she's standing outside the gates looking at the house. And all of a sudden on the other side of the gate is this young man who is the Starling who owns the place. His name is Arthur Starling. And he threatens her basically and tells her to run, you know, get away from here, don't come here, even though she's been obsessed with the place. So she does at first, and then she comes back, and she ends up getting a job there as a housekeeper because the house is falling apart. It's in a lot of disarray. And through the story, you're getting first person narrative from her point of view, from Opal's point of view, and then you're getting third person narrative from Arthur's point of view. And so you learn a few things fairly quickly on about the house, and about that he's a warden of this house, and there's supernatural stuff going on. The house is essentially alive, and so that's kind of the gist of what's going on. At the same time, there is a lot of other things going on and it's a big mystery. So she's trying to figure out the secrets of Starling House. There's other people trying to figure out the secrets of Starling House who will do anything, including threatening her and her brother to get it. And Arthur is trying to hide what's going on, and he keeps saying to himself that he's going to be the last warden of Starling House. He's going to end it. So that's kind of the gist of the story. It ended up being really good. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really liked the characters. Opal was an interesting character, and Arthur was a very, very interesting character. They were very deep, very wounded characters, both of them. And so they really, like, there were parts where I cried and I teared up because they were just such wounded characters that you just really felt for. The one thing I found with this book, which was kind of interesting, was that the first about half of it, I would say, the pacing was really slow. It would be like I was reading and I'd feel like I had read a whole pile, and here I had only read like 20 pages or whatever. And so it seemed to take a long time to get through. But once I hit about the second half, then it really picked up, and I, finished most of the second half over the course of last night. So I'm not sure about the pacing of it, but overall the story I really, really enjoyed. And like I say, the characters were really good, wounded characters that you get attached to. They weren't your classic beauties and whatever, in this fantasy world. They were very wounded characters, and you really, really felt for them. And you, right up until the end, I didn't know how it was going to end and how things were going to go. So, but I really, really liked the ending. I really enjoyed the supernatural elements of the book, and I definitely am glad I read that one. So now that I have marked that one off, it is time to pick one final one for this vlog. I will bring up my playlists again. So let's start by picking an era again. So we've got the shuffle is on, and we are going to hit play and see what happens. Okay, so we have Boy with Love, and that is from Map of the Soul Persona, which I believe okay, so that is from Map of the Soul, so that's this lane. And if you will recall, I believe Boy with Love was the one that I had gotten the last time when I ended up reading the Bernard Cornwell book, because I mistakenly said it was from Love Yourself, but it's because Boy with Love is it's the one that I, for some reason, I think it's because of the pink cover. I always think that it's Love Yourself era, but it's actually Map of the Soul Persona. So anyways, so that's this lane here. And now we will pick one of the guys. So let me bring up that playlist. The solo songs TBR. Okay, so we're still on shuffle. Ooh, this is V's new song. His most recent one, Friends, which is so fun. Okay, so that is Kim Tae-young, and we have Map of the Soul era. So, we get Legends and Lattes. So I'm kind of excited about that one. I'm going to have to order that one in at the library. Hopefully it'll come before too long. But that is a cozy fantasy about an orc who decides to retire and open a coffee shop. So I am very excited to see that one, to read that one, because I've heard a lot about it, and I tend to like cozy stories. I like a lot of cozy mysteries and everything. I haven't tried a cozy fantasy before, so we will give that a shot, and I will let you know what I think after I read it. Hello everyone. It is finally time to round out this vlog. My BTS chooses my TBR, and we just lost a sticker. Okay, So for my last book, I ended up reading Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. So we'll put that there. So that means I read A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, Malice by, what was his name? I can't remember. Kigo Higashino, and Starling House by Alex Harrow. So the final one that I read then was Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This book is it's described as a high fantasy with low stakes. So it is the quintessential definition of a cozy fantasy. This book follows an orc named Viv. She's a mercenary, but she has decided that she is going to retire. So Viv ends up going to this small town and opening a coffee shop. And it's about it's a small city, and it's about the various people that she meets, the friends she gains, and there is a minor plot involving some characters from her old life, but overall it's just a very, very cozy book. Now, I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. I really wanted to love this book. I really did, because so many people love it, and I thought cozy fantasy was going to be for me. But I am discovering after reading this that I don't think cozy fantasy is going to be my genre. I am much more inclined to like swordplay, and so I think swords and sorcery sort of fantasy is going to be more my jam. I'm currently reading the first book in Robin Hobb's Farseer trilogy, and then I'm also reading, I've got one for December here, called The Blood of the Old Kings, that has to do with dragons and everything. And I have a feeling those are going to be probably a lot more my style, because I do love books set in medieval type settings and in the Viking era and that sort of thing. So this one here, I've just found it fine. I liked the characters. I liked the story. I didn't have any issues with it. I just wasn't gripped by it. And it wasn't one where I, just had to turn the pages and see what's going to happen next. It was the kind of book that I like to have sitting beside my bed, that I can read before bed when I don't want to overstimulate my brain and make myself have weird dreams and that sort of thing. So it took me a while to read it. It's actually the beginning of December now, and this vlog started ages ago, but it took me a while to read it because I just wasn't that interested in it. Once I started it, it was okay. Stuff happened, but there was a minor plot, but the plot wasn't the main point of it. And for me, I'm just finding that is not really my thing. I love cozy mysteries, but in a cozy mystery, you're still trying to solve a mystery. So there's more of a plot to it. Whereas in this case, it was more, day-to-day stuff. And the characters were cute, and the story itself was good, and the characters were lovable and stuff. And I think if you're the kind of person who likes that slower pace and a little bit softer story, I think you'll probably really enjoy this. It just, for me, it wasn't my thing, and that's why it got 3.5. It had nothing to do with the story itself. It was well written. Like I say, the characters were well written and everything. It just wasn't my ideal type of a story. So that is that one, and that finishes off this particular vlog. So I will just go through the books that I read and post them on there. So yeah, I read A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. Really loved that one. I read Starling House by Alex Harrow. That one was interesting. It wasn't my favorite, but it was very interesting. Malice by Kigo Higashino. Yeah, by Kigo Higashino. That one was very interesting as well. A good mystery. Wasn't wasn't an edge of your seat thriller or anything, but it was a good mystery. And then of course Legends and Lattes. So I'm not going to play this one again for a little while because I have so many other vlogs going on right now. but I'm going to keep the board and I will add more books to it, replace the books that I've already read. There's a few other ones in here that I've read over the last little while. And maybe next year we will give that another play and have some fun with it. So let me know if you've read any of these 4 books and what you thought of them. And I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on cozy fantasy. So let me know that down in the comments, and leave me a like and a subscribe if you can, because that definitely helps me out. And I will see you guys soon on my next vlog.